Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Black in the Saddle. I am so happy to be joined by one of my mentors, Dr. Alan Cannedy. He is a veterinarian. He works on small ruminants. So, no, he's not a horse person, but y'all are going to learn a lot from him today, regardless. Okay. He's actually allergic to horses. That's another story for another time. It did not hurt my feelings at all. But um he's done so much for the veterinary community, for veterinary students, especially going through NC State. So we're going to learn a little bit about that today and about what mentorship looks like and why it's important for not only the veterinary community, but for us within the Black community. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Cannedy.
Yeah, thank you, Abriana. I'm pleased to have the opportunity and I was happy for your invite to participate in this. I wasn't exactly sure what I'd be getting into, especially as you said, with the focus being on equine, but certainly with the shifting gears to the mentorship side of things, I think I can certainly apply some of what it is that we'll be talking about today. But you hit the nail on the head when you shared with your audience that yeah, I am actually allergic to horses and long-haired cats. I will say from the start here, one of the happiest days of my life was when I graduated from Tuskegee University and realized that I never ever had to touch a cat ever again, other than a pet one. My favorite pet happens to be the cat, but
Mhm.
um, I was thinking during my time at Tuskegee that I was going to have to learn horses in order to make a living in the profession. But that's when I discovered doing my internship at the University of Tennessee, which
Mhm.
was a wonderful year internship there. That's where I discovered that I'm actually allergic to horses.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Well, you have made a huge impact regardless. So we'll let you slide. We'll let you slide on that one.
Thank you.
All right. So, can you start off by sharing a little bit about your journey as a veterinarian and at what point you noticed mentorship being very important?
Sure. My journey into the profession of veterinary medicine started primarily while I was working on a dairy farm. I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia, working on a dairy farm that was about 10 miles from my home.
Mhm.
My daddy was a concrete contractor, and he was expecting all of his sons to sort of follow in his footsteps. And I realized very quickly that I didn't want anything to do with that. So I would jump on my mini bike after school and ride over to this dairy farm. And I started milking cows at age 13. And
Wow.
there I learned the art of working with cattle and milking cattle primarily, but the art of taking care of cattle was the main thing that I got out of that. Because every time one would get sick, a cow would get sick or a calf would get sick, we'd call the veterinarian, and the vet would come take care of that sick animal. And I was the one that was always left with the charge of taking care of that animal after the veterinarian would leave.
Mhm.
So my first mentor in the profession of veterinary medicine was Dr. Robert Frank, who was a veterinarian that took care of our cows in the farm that I grew up on in Fredericksburg. And that, because I had no intentions of even going to college after I graduated from high school. So, but the fact that I was always being charged with taking care of those animals after they got sick by Dr. Frank led me to realize that okay, there's more than just milking cows going on here, and if I really wanted to take it to the next level, that I really should pursue a career in the profession, and that required me to go to college. So
Yeah.
that was my inspiration from the start there.
Mhm.
Now, I can tell you, I had more folks along my journey and pathway tell me I'd never be able to do this or never be able to do that than I had people telling me that I could.
Yeah.
So choosing and finding those individuals that were allies that were positive role models and mentors to me was easy for me to do in a sense. And that I just let the naysayers go real fast. And
Mhm.
that's my advice to others is, when you have folks that are not in your corner, that are not uh, being supportive of you and your dreams and your goals, move away from those individuals and move towards the ones that are going to be those that are going to be supporting you and your goals and your journey that you're pursuing towards whatever pathway that you're choosing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You gotta cut them loose, because that's, surrounding yourself. It's hard. The journey is hard enough.
It
So
is.
you have to surround yourself with people that are going to continue to push you and inspire you and challenge you in a good way. Um, to be that better version of yourself. And so after you went to Tuskegee, graduated, never had to work on a cat again. Um, what was that next step? Um, you know, because I know a lot of veterinary students are, going into practice, doing something else, some other higher level of education. Um, but for you, I feel like there was a pivot into, practice, and then I want to bring on more people that look like me. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, let me just take a half step back first to my time at Tuskegee, where really I got pushed in the direction that I ultimately ended up taking by my mentors there, and one in particular, Dr. Kenneth Newkirk, rest his soul. He was asking me in my senior year of veterinary school, "Hey, Alan, would you be interested in doing this internship thing at the University of Tennessee?" And I was like, "Absolutely not, man. When I graduate, I'm heading on to head back to Fredericksburg, and I'm going to set up my practice, and I'm going to ride around the countryside and take care of all the sick cows I can get my hands on." Well, the reality check that happened during my senior year of vet school was that when I started veterinary college, there were about 15 dairy farms within a oh, 20-mile radius of my home. Well, when I finished veterinary school, there were only four.
Mm,
And that was the compelling and driving factor for me to listen to Dr. Newkirk and say, okay, well, if I'm going to make a living, going back home to my hometown area, I'm going to have to work on something other than cows. And that's where the internship piece that he pushed me to do at the University of Tennessee came into place. And knowing that I was going to get more horse experience out of that internship in Tennessee. But like I said, that's what I got, and that's what I learned is that I'm allergic to horses here. So having that push from my mentorship through Dr. Kenneth Newkirk to go on to do that internship drove me to the point of my residency, which I pursued at NC State. That got me there. That's where I had other mentors, folks that were on my residency committee, Dr. Lane Hunt, Dr. Kevin Anderson, guys that were encouraging me to pursue the path of academia, where I ultimately ended up going and spent the bulk of my time and career at NC State in academia.
mhm,
But I was also told by those mentors at that time that I needed to pick one or the other, either academia or private practice. Because at that point, I was still saying I want to go to private practice. I want to do what it is that I'd ultimately dreamed of and set as my goal as a veterinarian to work on animals, and help them in the ways that I ultimately wanted to make them feel better. So unfortunately for some, but fortunately for others, that we can have healthy animals to eat.
yes.
So, so from that perspective, I listened to what I was being told in a sense that, Alan, you need to do this or you need to do that. I processed that and I said, well, I feel like I can do both. And I still was having, these these very wise, very smart people telling me, and I needed to plan and pursue one pathway or the other. But I knew within my heart that I could do more than they were ultimately telling me that I could and should do. So,
Mhm.
and ultimately, I ended up doing both. I did both from the standpoint of staying in academia, staying the path that I did as a administrator, as a clinician at NC State for several years until I was then asked by our college leader, Dr. Oscar Fletcher, if I would go the primary administrative role as college's director for diversity, stay there and focus on trying to get more diversity into our profession, get more underrepresented minorities that weren't interested in the profession to consider coming. And
Mhm.
that piqued my interest to the point of saying, yeah, I can definitely do that because I know I'd had enough folks on the outside telling me I couldn't do things that I knew that I was capable and competent of doing. So I wanted to switch that, flip that switch in a sense, and turn it around for others who needed to have some encouragement from somebody that especially looked like them, that could say that they could do the things that they ultimately were capable of doing. So I I said I clearly took that path. I did it for the 27 years that I did until I retired from NC State as their chief diversity officer this past June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now I'm continuing to do that as a consultant for the college, but also focusing the time that I started doing it back in 2004 on my clinical practice as well. So
Mhm.
having that opportunity and making the options available for yourselves to pursue the things that you know that you love and want to do at the same time doing the things that you know you can and should do is really what I focused my time and effort and did.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just take a moment to tell a story. Because I'm just so glad that you said that people were telling you to choose one or the other. I got a lot of that too. Like, Ariana, you have a list of things. You need to choose one. And it's like, I tried choosing one and I could not stop thinking about everything else. So I need to choose all of them to make myself happy. Um, but I remember, okay, well, let me take a rewind. I don't even remember, I don't, time doesn't exist. I don't remember when I started working with you, but I started riding with Dr. Cannedy in his small ruminant and camelid practice while I was at NC State. And I remember this may have been when it was like me, Ashani, and Blue, and ooh, I can't remember the other guy's name. But I remember us having a conversation and you asked me what what do you want to do? Or maybe you asked me if I thought about teaching. And I said, I wouldn't mind being a teacher, but I just don't want to be in a classroom. And you said to me, "Who told you that teaching only happens in a classroom?" And I don't even know if I answered because I don't know. I just that was the assumption, and that has stuck with me, for years. It's been years. And it kind of resonates with the story that you just told, not having to choose just one thing, but still being able to make an impact over the multiple things that you do choose. And how we kind of have this um reel of assumptions that people tell us, conditioning, things that we learn growing up, um that impact our decisions. But sometimes we have to say, I just want to do it differently. Like, I don't want to do it like what you're saying. What the vision that you see is not the same as what I see. So I just wanted to share that story. I don't even know if you remember it, but
I do
that's
recall, and
you do.
yes, and I can tell you that that reflects so much on what it is that I and many others like us have experienced in a sense, in that we have folks that are true mentors, but they're mentors from their lens and their life experiences. And that's what most mentors are and do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a good mentor should be listening and hearing the things that you are saying as a mentee, and that we or mentors sometimes only know the things that they know. We don't know what you
Yeah.
know, and we got
Yeah.
to listen to you and all in order to learn from you. And we grow and develop as mentors as well. But the last thing we should be doing is you're putting you all in boxes that we put ourselves in, and knowing what our capabilities are and not fully knowing all of your capabilities. Yes, we know some of them, and we know some that the mentee may not even realize yet themselves. But at the same time, you know, they're only limited, and I see this in all of the mentees that I work with. They're only limited by their imaginations and their desires and their goals on the things that they're ultimately going to be capable of doing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just because it's something that I could not envision or imagine myself ever doing does not limit them from having the opportunities to do that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, supporting them and providing the access for the options and the opportunities that a mentee really want to and need to have in order to get to where they want to go is really the most important piece there.
Yeah. 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 In the last episode that I did, I the topic or the title of it was bridging the gap between experience and education. It kind of just runs with the theme of this season of the podcast, but with you being in academia and in practice, you have been able to do that. You've been able to bridge that gap and
Right.
provide experiences that you will not get. Vet school, you get a lot of things, but you don't get everything. So can you talk a little bit about why that is a priority for you?
Sure. I mean, the real life experience options that happen outside of the walls of academia are extremely important for all, especially those that are pursuing careers in veterinary medicine, to explore and experience. Because, as I said, hey, I only know what I know and don't know what you know, and they don't know about all of the wonderful things that can happen in the profession, and until they get exposed. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've had hundreds of students that have ridden with me in my practice that have experienced the things that I enjoy doing and working with sheep, goat, llamas, and alpacas. And I can tell you that there are plenty of those hundreds of students that absolutely don't like it. And that's a great thing for them to experience, to come out and figure out that this is something that I don't want to do, being out in the heat or the extreme cold and these elements, handling these big, animals, getting spat on by a llama, or whatever it is that goes on. It's an experience that they get to get a chance to uh, learn what it is that they do or don't want to do as far as the future of their profession. So from that perspective, yes, it's it's invaluable that we have these options and opportunities for not just our underrepresented minority students, but for our majority students as well, to
Mhm.
come out and experience life from the lens of somebody that's different from them, to get a chance to ride in that vehicle with me, and for with the other students that maybe they've never had a chance to interact with. Those life experiences are things that we need to somehow come up with ways for more individuals to get these opportunities to do. And I say more individuals, from all perspectives. but especially more of our underrepresented minority students. We have a lot of options and opportunities out there through the different clinical practices, you know, the research experiences in government,
Hmm.
and even as I say in academia, to get them opportunities to come and visit veterinary colleges, and I say them being our undergraduates that have an interest in wanting to pursue careers in veterinary medicine, our high school students, our middle school students, things like having these summer veterinary camp exposure experiences for them are extremely important
Yeah.
because, again, they don't know about these things until you see it, you hear about it, but to actually touch it and feel it and get a chance to be engaged is more important than reading about it in a book. So it's a big difference, as you know, when you get in that truck and you get on that farm
Mhm.
versus when you read about it. So
Yeah.
that's what I advocate for, is to actually let them get their hands dirty and get out in the elements and experience the things, or get in the clinic or wherever, the lab, like I said, to
Yeah.
see what it is that's happening from that veterinarian's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'll tell you, we didn't learn that much about small ruminants in undergrad, but or camelids. But when I was riding with Dr. Cannedy and we went out to a llama farm, and he's like, yeah, like you can put your face here and like hum beside him. And that was one of those things I knew that I couldn't do. And I just said, Can you hum for both of us, please?" Because I can't do that part. I'll do everything else, but I can't do it.
My name is Jamon Turner, and this is Just Believe. We're a youth program. We host these really wild camps where kids get to kick loose, meet new friends, city kids, country kids, merging, learning about each other. See, we're kind of like the superhero of camps. We learn about agricultural trades, horses, cattle, all sorts of that fun stuff. We don't just do Western stuff. We go hiking, camping, fishing, kayaking, pretty much anything outdoors. See, we're the middleman for the kids who can't, who don't have access to these opportunities. We find them, we plug them in, we take them. It's been great so far, but this year we have an opportunity to take it to another level. Professional instruction, higher quality trades, team challenges, awards, and with a little help from the right people, the possibilities are endless.
But what I have done, I can say, I remember, trying to catch goats. Luckily, they had horns. I remember having goats and a horn in each hand, and I was like flying goat kites. I, castrating at the farm that the dairy goat farm that has like a billion babies every year, that wet lab, like, I can say that I've done these things, and because I've had these lived experiences, I am writing whole children's books that have characters that are heavily influenced because of the lived experiences that I've been able to have, and that has directly come from mentorship. So, thank you.
Now, thank you for writing about it, and yeah, I love your books, and I've had a chance to look at all of them and see just what it is that you're putting in and out there for the next generation of youngsters that may follow in your footsteps and potentially mine and others as they read about these experiences that Carmen likes to share.
Yes, 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 yes. I can't wait this the fourth book. I have written it. I need to send it to you. I haven't illustrated it yet, but it is about Albie the alpaca, and it's, time for him to get sheared for the summer, and the crows, because we all know crows look the same, are picking on him because of his haircut. Alpacas get like the funky little haircut. So it's, a relevant experience when it comes to livestock. But it also has a lesson, no bullying, being confident in what you look like, not judging somebody because of what they look like. It's the cutest little story, but because of, the experiences I've been able to have on the farm, I'm able to draw parallels and connections with, something that children should be able to learn, as well as like, no, this is real life. Like in The Great Escape, yeah, horses escape the fence and you have to fix the fence. Like that's what's required for this lifestyle. So I think that is just one of the ways that we can continue to bridge the gap between what is it that we should know and learn, and then actually having those hands-on experiences.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like, we're in I still say we're in this pandemic, and there's a big conversation around employment and, great resignation, all this stuff. There's this overwhelming sentiment, I know, in my industry, as well as I think in the veterinary industry, that good help is hard to find. So when you are looking for mentees or working with people, how do you know when someone is worth, I don't really like, putting worth in there, but basically worth pouring into?
Well, for me, personally, I like to challenge my individuals that, for example, come to me and say, "Hey, can I ride with you in your practice to get some exposure and experience?" Um, Always provide an opportunity to anybody that asks. Number one,
Mhm.
I don't judge from the standpoint of, okay, if they I ask that they send me their CV. Can I read the CV or the resume and want to see what it is that they have done to gauge what type of experience that they've potentially had, and if they've had none or if they've had a lot, I'll still give the opportunity. But I gauge the individual based on, okay, when I say, are you, let's meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're gonna head off and do farm calls for the day, for example. We, may or may not be done by at this time of the year. I usually try to target noon because after 12 o'clock out in North Carolina, summertime, it's too hot. It's too hot for me, too hot for my patients, and
Yeah.
definitely too hot to be putting volunteers that are riding with me in the practice at risk for heat stress or anything like that also.
Yeah.
But if the individual is late, that speaks volumes
Yeah.
to me, number one. But at the same time, I want to know why you're late if you're late.
Mm.
And if you're late because you took a bus, and had to, do a transfer at a station to meet us at our location that we were departing from, versus you're late because you overslept and you're uh, you got caught in traffic as you were driving or whatever it may be. Those things I understand. We're all different. As a chief diversity officer, I get it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna judge you just because you're late for the event, but I'm going to judge your how you handle being late for the event and how you address the issues. Are you communicating
Yeah.
while you're trying to get to our location and letting me know that you're running behind schedule because of the things that are going on versus just showing up and saying nothing. So accountability is really what
Mhm.
I'm ultimately getting to here, in that we're all accountable for our actions. We're all accountable for the things that we do. We all need to be responsible. And that's really what I ask of anyone that's going to be involved with me as a mentee in particular is that let's communicate. Let's make sure that I know who you are, what's going on in your life, things that are causing you angst, that are causing you challenges towards reaching your goal, and let's work with it. Let's
Yeah.
find a way to address meeting those areas of deficiency that you need to have some assistance with so that we can get you there. But if you're not communicating and communicating those things that really are causing you challenges, that are causing you the angst, that are preventing you from being all the best that you can be, I can't help you fully. So
Right.
uh, that's what it ultimately comes down to is just, again, great communication, accepting responsibility for the things that we all need to accept responsibility for and getting to where we ultimately want to go. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. Somebody's nobody's going to hand anyone anything without
Mm-mm.
something in return, in the sense of you got to be willing to put forth what it is that you need to in order to get to where you want to go, in order to have others help you to get to there.
Yeah. Yeah. Accountability is one of my favorite things. And I've had to understand what that looks like kind of over and over, like in different situations. So, accountability when it comes to working in a practice, accountability in relations with my clients, and then as an entrepreneur. You can get on the wayside. You don't have anyone to be accountable to but yourself. So that self accountability as well, it's so critical.
It is. I mean, it's the driving force that most successful individuals have that has taken them to where they've gotten. So, if you're not really feeling like you are accountable to yourself first and foremost, how can you expect others to be
Yeah.
feeling like they should be there in your corner when you need them? Also,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about that communication, that kind of leads to my next question. Can you explain or share an example of why collaboration and networking is so important for the veterinary industry, or as a professional as a whole?
sure. I guess, yeah. When you say networking, there's a young man that immediately pops into my mind, and I'm going to call him out. Dr. Patrick Barnes, who's a North Carolina A&T graduate,
Mm-hmm.
that also a Tuskegee graduate. This young man is can write the book on networking. I can tell you, because I've seen him in action at various events. I remember at one of our American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges meeting where Patrick was working the room like a champion, introducing himself to any and everyone that was willing to accept his invitation to get acknowledgement. And when it came down to it, after that young man graduated from Tuskegee, and there were numerous job options and opportunities for him out there based on his contacts that he had made, not just during veterinary school at Tuskegee, but at that AVMC, and the references and the folks that would make contact with different individuals when they were checking references.
Yeah.
There was, I could tell you, just anyone and everyone knew who he was. So
Yeah.
when the job references out there were calling and checking, and they would ask, "Hey, you know about this young man, Dr. Barnes?" And everyone would speak up and say yes. Of course, obviously, he was a fantastic communicator and networker that we all knew him for that, but also just a hard worker that had done all that he could and needed to do to get to where he was. So
Yeah.
again, that networking piece there, I use him as my example.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as any other form of communication piece, just as I said, just knowing that if there's something that's coming up, and whether that something is a student who's looking to apply to get in a veterinary school, I try to make sure that they know that they need to beat those deadlines, get their applications in ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
not on time or the due date,
Yeah.
but in the process of trying to make sure that they're getting the appropriate folks that they should for being their references.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's an important piece that a lot of applicants don't tend to pay as close attention to as they should. The
Mm-hmm.
references should be people who know them well enough to write things about them that are going to get them in or get them jobs or get them the places that they want to go.
Yeah.
Not just someone who is writing a letter, but someone's writing that excellent letter that's going to be that this person almost walks on water
Mm-hmm.
qualifications that
Mm-hmm.
are going to make them stand out well above and beyond any and everybody else that they're talking with. So that's what I implore anyone that's looking to impress me or an individual that they may be working for, working with, or volunteer for. Do everything that they can to try to impress those individuals and show them all those qualities that they really need to have and have somebody write about them as a
Yeah.
reference in order for them to get to where they want to go. So
Yeah.
don't look for somebody who's going to say good things about you. Find and make yourself put yourself in a position to make them only be able to say great things about you because it hurts me. It hurts me to the core. For example, when I sit on an admissions committee and I'm reading letters of recommendation from individuals that have written letters for applicants to get into a veterinary program that state that they recommend that this individual does not be admitted into the program.
Mm.
And that happens. It happens every
Yeah.
year that
Yeah.
there's a recommendation that comes from somebody who thinks that they are getting a good or excellent recommendation that actually keeps them from getting to where they want to go. So
Wow.
that doesn't say that that person writing that letter is a bad person, really. That
Right.
says that that individual that chose him has pretty poor judgment. So it's
Yeah.
reflective of the individual there. So that's something that um, everybody needs to think about. Who is it that you're asking to be in your corner, and how well do you know that person, and how well does that person know you?
Yeah. Yeah. That I mean, that brings us full circle to how we started off this episode, really making sure you know who is for you and culling the people who are not. Um
Absolutely.
so what is next for Dr. Allen Cannedy? Tell me because I want to do it too.
Well, what's next? I've done a lot. I feel like with my career.
Mhm.
I am going to maintain some connection with NC State in some way. Uh, right now, I am still serving as a consultant for the college, and until they you know, fill my position that
Yeah.
I've left.
Mhm.
But at the same time, keeping some connection with the admissions committee, with our BIPOC group that we have there at the college. Right now, we have a record number of underrepresented students enrolled at our college,
Yeah.
which was my primary goal for my employment time there.
Mhm.
But making sure that again, those individuals that, especially the ones that I help to get there, and the ones that are coming in the future, are going to have the support that they need to be successful.
Yeah.
That's going to be the piece that I maintain and keeping a connection there.
Mhm.
On the other side of the coin, the private practice, I'm going to continue to enjoy what it is that I've built there and have been doing as a private practitioner, working with my sheep, goat, llamas, and alpacas. And
Mhm.
I'll still provide opportunities for students that are looking to gain some experience working with these animals to join me in my practice.
Mhm.
But also the the bigger and more important piece for me at this time and stage of my career is to enjoy life, enjoy the fruits of all my labor in a
All your
sense that I've been
labor,
working for.
yeah.
So I've been doing private practice as well as academia for going on 30 years now, and now it's time to really focus on enjoying some of those fruits from my efforts there. I want to travel,
Mhm.
uh, get a chance to see some more places that I haven't had a chance to see on this planet. This Earth's a big place, and
Mhm.
yeah, my recommendations for anyone is to see as much of it as you can, because as I said earlier, we only know what we know, and you can learn a lot from others from different regions on this planet that do things differently, because we may think that we're the best, and that there's only one way of doing things until you discover it for yourself. Yeah, you can discover things through books and through videos, as I said earlier, but
Mhm.
when you firsthand get that firsthand experience, hands-on experience being there in the culture where you got a chance to taste those flavors of the culture directly,
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing. So I have one more continent that I need to visit. That's on my list of to do, hopefully within the next year. Trying to make my way to Antarctica.
Okay.
So that's a
Nice.
part of my
Coming to
plan, is
that
to
one.
travel, see, do, taste, and experience as much as I can,
Yeah.
while life has allowed me the opportunity to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I'm gonna wait till you get back and we can go somewhere else. I'm not coming to that one. I would love to hear the story.
I will be glad to share it with you when it happens.
Well, thank you, Dr. Cannedy, so much for coming on the podcast today. I think that this is going to really provide some perspective for my audience. Black in the Saddle has evolved a little bit more. We're from just telling individual stories to really becoming a resource for the Black community, especially those people who are loving hanging out with horses. So I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your journey with us.
Absolutely glad to have had the opportunity. Thank you, Abriana.